Today I want to record my early memories of going to Oxford. What Oxford was like in my time and what it has turned out to be today. Of course, Oxford is a very well-known worldwide brand in higher education, higher knowledge. But when I wanted to go to Oxford in the year 1959, after my education at Santiniketan, there was no guidance. The rule was we have to apply through the Indian High Commission, and as a result I wrote maybe hundreds of letters to High Commission, and at the final moment always I got a negative reply that I could not get there by this method. So in frustration one day I wrote directly some letters to the heads of the colleges. One such head was luckily Sir William Goodenough Hayter, who was then retired as an ambassador to Soviet Russia. He was the warden of New College. At Oxford, there are many funny names. Warden of a new college means the head of the college, almost like a senior Indian civil servant. So he is the authority to take decisions. Unexpectedly, Sir Hayter wrote a letter telling that if I can sit for an exam at my alumni Santiniketan itself, they will send some question papers, and once I pass, they can consider admitting me. So I wrote this exam in front of my Santiniketan professor. I am happy to recall his name, Karunamai Mukherjee, learned man, like all Bengal upper middle class, well versed with the world affairs and knowledge. And I got a reply after some time telling that I am admitted to a PPE course, Philosophy, Politics, Economics. I didn't know at that point of time the implications of all these names, degrees, and even where I stand in the academic world. I took this letter and showed it to Professor Mukherjee. He first asked me to sit down. The second word was, "You will be a great man one day, so I have to take you very seriously." That was the immediate reaction of a Bengali intellectual at that time. Then, to cut the story short, when I arrived at Oxford, from the railway station I went to my college in a taxi, I think. I was shown my room, and you won't believe, today nowhere in the world an Oxford or a Harvard student will get such a commodious accommodation. It was a very big, large room. Yes, my drawing room. Adjacent there was my bedroom, and there was a piano standing in my drawing room. Somebody, maybe my predecessor, must have left it there. And immediately I was confronted by two scouts called Scouts in Oxford, for those who will assist me. Two were Englishmen, and one first man came and told me, "Sir, I have served Sir Hook Gaitskell, who was then Labour leader," and many other big names. So you will be surprised to hear that an average Oxford student was received in such luxury and honor. They all thought I am going to create a revolution in the world. Such was the ego I got as soon as I reached my room. Then I like to say here in this recording my famous professors. See, in those days, in my time, in the mid 20th century, the world leaders in philosophy, economics, politics were all my Oxford professors. They directly taught me. The famous economist was J.R. Hicks, who was one of the first to get the Nobel Prize in economics. I can go on telling about his qualities. Very soft man. We never thought that he will win a Nobel Prize. So when I read it in the papers after I returned to India, I felt very proud. The other big name was Professor Sir Isaiah Berlin, Fellow of All Souls College. Even about this college, All Souls College, I have to say something differently. Then the philosophy Professor Isaiah Berlin taught me political ideas. Then A.J. Ayer, A-Y-E-R, in my time the most famous empirical philosopher who was almost like Bertrand Russell, and I was fascinated by his style and lecture and all. As soon as I saw his first book he wrote when he was 26, Language, Truth and Logic, I bought the book, I read from cover to cover. I was fascinated. And one more professor, though he was not part of my study, was attracted by his lectures, was historian A.J.P. Taylor, famous man known for his oratory and expertise on world wars. Then one more philosopher comes to my mind is Professor of Metaphysics, Sir Gilbert Ryle. In my time, metaphysics was looked down upon. All the truths must be proven by empirical evidence. This was the basis of what I learned, the logical positivism. One more retired professor was living above my room. His room was full of books. Bachelor, Professor H.H. Price, who was a teacher of A.J. Ayer. And of course, there were many other names which I can recall. But what I want to impress upon Indians of this generation especially is there was a very famous department of Sanskrit. There was a famous department of Dravidian etymology. Why I am saying this? We are all thinking that our education must stick to some local issues like Dravidianism, Aryanism, etc. No, Santiniketan is not, Oxford is not known for such narrow-minded things. Then one more, my tutor in economics was H.H. Price. No, that name immediately I am not able to recall. He taught me how I should understand economics, etc. One more acquaintance I made at Oxford was a Hungarian professor who taught me monetary economics at Nuffield College. In this college only, in my time, our well-known Indian economists Jagadish Bhagwati and Dr. Manmohan Singh were students of PhD. So I can go on and on and on. And Oxford was in my time very famous. And only one remark I want to make. As soon as I reached Oxford, I got on to join the famous Oxford Debating Society. Had made my first speech. About that later. Thank you.